All right, let's dive into a story about one of the most fundamental shifts in all of human history. We're talking about the moment we went from just making things to survive to intentionally designing the entire world around us. So you have to wonder, when did that actually happen? To really get it, let's imagine for a second you're living 500 years ago. You need a chair. You're not going to IKEA, right? You go to someone like Master Carpenter Johann. And he doesn't just slap some wood together. He designs it for you, using knowledge that's been passed down for generations. See? He's not just making, he's designing. The thing is, the answer to that big question isn't some specific year you can circle on a calendar. It's really a story about a change in how we think, a whole journey from just surviving to achieving mastery, and then finally to the birth of this design mindset. And I promise you, understanding this journey will completely change how you see every single object in your life. Okay, so our story really kicks off with the first massive catalyst for this change, the agricultural revolution. And this wasn't just about how we grew food, it was about how we spent our time. For the very first time in history, having a surplus of food meant that some people had the freedom to focus on just one thing. Think about it. Before farming, everybody had to do everything. You had to hunt, you had to build, you had to make your own tools. Quality was, well, all over the place, and innovation moved at a snail's pace. But with extra food, people could specialize. One person could focus only on making pots, and another could focus only on weaving. And you know what happens when you do one thing all day, every day? You get really, really good at it. Mastery starts to take hold. Okay, so now we have specialists. That's a huge step. But how do you turn that individual skill into a standardized, respected profession? Well, that's where the guilds come in. And you can pretty much think of them as the world's first and incredibly powerful design schools. And a guild was way more than just a club. This was a serious professional institution. It protected trade secrets, it enforced incredibly high standards of quality, and, maybe most importantly, it created a systematic way to pass all that hard-won knowledge from one generation to the next. And their system was intense. You'd start as an apprentice, learning the absolute basics for something like 7 years. Then you'd become a journeyman, literally traveling the land to learn from different masters. Finally, to become a master yourself, you had to create a masterpiece, a single object so perfect, so flawless. It proved you had reached the absolute highest level of skill. But this whole system created something way more important than just skilled hands. It created a totally new way of thinking. The shift from putting your hands to work first to putting your brain to work first. And right here, you can see that fundamental difference. Intuitive making is reactive. Your hands lead the way and you kind of figure it out as you go. The only real question is, hey, does it work? But intentional design is proactive. Your brain leads and your hands execute a plan. Now you're asking, is this the absolute best way to do this? It's a huge leap from just copying to deliberate, careful planning. We can actually see this whole evolution in something as simple as a chair. In the beginning, a log or a rock is pure function. Then a basic stool. Okay, some craft is involved there. But a skilled guild-era chair, that's planned. It considers things like durability and who's going to use it. And a modern ergonomic chair, that's pure design. It's been researched, prototyped, and refined over and over. Every single step in this evolution adds more thinking before the making. So as this deliberate thinking starts to evolve, something else really interesting begins to happen. It wasn't enough for an object to just work anymore. To prove your mastery, to show you were the real deal, it also had to be beautiful. Aesthetics literally became an essential part of the job. And beauty always had a purpose. It wasn't just for looks. In Egypt, it was all about communicating power. For the Greeks, it reflected order and virtue. In the guilds, an ugly piece of work meant you weren't a real master. And by the time of the Renaissance, beauty became a science, a way to reflect divine order. Beauty was a direct measure of intent and skill. Okay, so after this journey through a whole lot of history, what is the key takeaway here? What we've learned is that design isn't really about a specific tool or a fancy job title. At its very core, it's a way of thinking. It's a mindset. And you can actually break this mindset down into a really practical checklist. Is there a plan? Or is someone just figuring it out as they go? Are they thinking about a specific user and what they need, or just kind of hoping people like it? Are they asking, what problem am I actually solving? Instead of just saying, I need to make a thing. This is how you can spot the design mindset out there in the real world. So let's just quickly recap this incredible journey. Specialization, born from the agricultural revolution, is what made mastery possible in the first place. Then the guilds came along and formalized that mastery into a real profession. The Renaissance elevated it all to an intellectual and artistic pursuit. And today? Well, today, anyone who plans, considers the user, and iterates is continuing this long and powerful tradition. Which brings us right back to our original question. When did we start designing? The answer is crystal clear now, isn't it? Design happens the exact moment we start thinking about the why and the how before we jump to the what. It is all about intention. It is all about having a plan. This idea really says it all. I mean, just imagine that first guildmaster demanding more than just the finished chair. He was asking for the thought process, the reasoning, the design. That is the powerful legacy we've been exploring today. So the next time you pick something up, or sit on something, or use anything at all, ask yourself, was this just made, or was it designed? You might be surprised by what you start to see.